All right, we are live this time using Zoom events and sessions. Both panelists have come from the backstage to the main stage, so we appreciate everyone that has joined. We've got people rolling in right now. Delisi, this is going to be fun. Let's just, if anybody doesn't mind, hopping into the Q&A or the chat to make sure that is working. It would be greatly appreciated. Someone's already thrown us an emoji. That's great. Let's see, got some familiar faces here. Participants. Hello, hello. All right. All right, people are coming in. Nick, thank you. You didn't have to email me. We're actually recording and we're live and we're not speaking backstage. Susie, Ryan, Tracy, thanks so much for joining us. Rob, yes, I did it. I did it, Rob. For anyone who is unaware, about 2 sessions ago, Robert Williams from Elevam joined me and we tested out a new technology. Like, who better than to test out new tech than with the tech guy? And we both sat backstage for the first, 8 to 10 minutes speaking with ourselves before the chat was going off saying, hey, did the webinar get canceled? And that was my cue to say, oh no, something happened. But I'm going to reward everybody that has shown up on time here and then also get Delisi going. But I want to thank you all for joining. We know that there's a lot of other things that you could be doing with your time. So the fact that you are spending it with us, we greatly appreciate it. And we are very, very, very grateful. For those that this is your first time attending and you don't know me, I'm Ron Latz, the founder of LegalFenix. We offer legal marketing, consulting, and fractional CMO services exclusively for lawyers. If you have joined us before, you'll know that these sessions, no fluff. We cut through the noise. There's no decks. There's no pitches. There's no slides. None of that. It's just a conversation between Delisi and myself. And basically, we just try to tackle every single question that comes in through the chat and the Q&A. And today's discussion is about a topic that's very near and dear to both of our hearts. We're going to be talking about attorney referrals. And if you're like most of the firms and lawyers that me and Delisi both know, you're probably doing some awesome work for your clients. You're out there building relationships, you're building connections, and you probably should be getting some more referrals, but they aren't coming in as frequently as you might have hoped for. So there's a lot of reasons why that could be the case, but regardless, that's why we're here today. We're going to unpack what could be stalling those referral pipelines and more importantly, jump into how you can fix it. And that's why I couldn't think of a better person to help us do that today than Delisi Friday. So Delisi, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Ron. Thanks for thinking of me when you think of referrals.
I
Also, I just noticed your shirt matches the color next to your name, and I love that.
Oh, well, listen, your color is so vibrant. I had to do something to at least not just be completely washed out here. So
This is me every day.
perfect. I love
Thank
it.
you,
It's
Nicholas.
gonna be great for the social clips. It's going to be great. For those that don't know, and Delisa, you'll be able to share a little bit more, but she's got over 2 decades of experience under her belt. Founder of First Call Friday, helps lawyers, create real connections, drive referrals, build referral strategies, as well as offers private LinkedIn coaching. There will be a survey at the end of the session. If you'd like to talk to either of us, just click that yes or no box, and we'll make sure that we get in touch. But again, down to brass tacks, I didn't ask Delisi to come here to share, the hacks or the shortcuts or the gimmicks, right? We're going to go through some very practical and I like to think intentional ways that you can earn more of the right type of referrals, as well as, show up more strategically online, especially on places like LinkedIn. So with that, Delisi, are you ready?
Yeah, let's do this.
All right. So let's set the stage first, right? I'm sure there's a ton of misconceptions that lawyers have, when it comes to referral marketing, maybe some of your first phone calls. Talk us through what some of those might be and how you address them right at the forefront.
So, some of the first misconceptions that I get are the lawyers who say, well, this isn't for me because I don't know how I could do referrals and it would be beneficial. I'm not a PI lawyer, Delisi. I can't do a consent to associate and make money off of it. And it's just because you're thinking about referrals wrong when you say that. Or someone who doesn't think there's a benefit to staying in touch with a former client because what are the odds that they might refer a case? So the misconceptions are, one, this is just for PI lawyers. Not true. This is for every lawyer in any city, in any practice area. And two, am I really going to get a case from a former client? And I say, yeah, hello. Your biggest cheerleaders are your former clients. They're the ones who know your business, they know your staff, they know what you do. If you did a great job, they're the perfect person to give a referral for you. And don't even get me started on how much higher of a conversion rate you'll have when someone refers a client to you versus someone who's paying for an ad. Like the amount of trust when a former client sends someone to you is going to convert much higher than someone who's clicking on an ad online.
To that point as well, you have a lot of firms that are investing in very expensive channels, whether it be paid search or out of home, billboard, radio, TV, etc. The acquisition costs to acquire those cases are significantly higher. So if you are targeting or investing some dollars into your previous clients, the ones that you've already paid for to essentially know, like, and trust you, what better than to have them as a brand advocate and loyalist to come back and refer their friends, family, and colleagues, you know?
Yes.
Um, I know that you've worked with firms of all shapes and sizes, right? So, you know, let's say that they did have a referral pipeline that was consistently producing high quality cases, but then we talked about how it stalls. Like, what causes them to stall? What causes things to kind of fizzle out?
Life and what naturally happens when you own a law firm, or when you're a lawyer. So sometimes referral partners will stall in sending you a case for a variety of reasons. One thing I tell lawyers on a regular basis is when you have a referral relationship with someone, you should reach out to them at least twice a year and just check in and say, "Hey, Ron, I just wanted to follow up with you. I want to make sure that you're still handling family law cases and divorces involving um, everyone in the military, and that's your niche." And someone might respond and say, "Actually, no, I decided to open up and handle all kinds of cases. I'm not doing military divorces anymore because I hate quadros," or whatever. Every single day, a law firm owner makes a decision on whether or not they still want to accept or reject a case. So sometimes when a referral partner goes quiet and they're not sending cases, something may have changed within their firm, but you wouldn't know unless you talk to them. The other part of it is we all have ups and downs. You know, we all have seasons where we get a lot of cases and seasons where we don't get a lot of cases. And so that's just naturally going to occur. And when I'm consulting with lawyers, I tell them, look, everyone has that happen. It's why it's important for you to have a referral pipeline with a variety of attorneys, because when one attorney sends you a bunch of cases and this attorney doesn't, when this attorney sends you more and this attorney sends you less, it's okay because you've got a variety of people sending you cases. The other part is life. Life happens. So if you have something personal going on, you step away from the business a little bit. The reality is not every lawyer has set their law firm up in a way where it sustains and it maintains that growth when they're away. It's just the reality. And so sometimes you might not get cases in because it may have slowed down because something happened. And so that can be a part of it as well. And then the biggest one that I see is just because they forgot about you. Honestly, they just forgot about you. If you don't check in with them, then they're going to forget about you. And that's why in marketing, I love to say you need to stay top of mind, because if you aren't doing something to stay top of mind, people will forget about you. And that's what you don't want.
That's why I think that just relying solely on like the word of mouth, someone else is going to be out there advocating for me, telling them what I do, how I do it, why they should hire me is a lot riskier than taking a proactive approach. And we'll dive into some of those tactics and strategies a little bit later as to what you can do to ensure that you keep that top of mindness. Uh,
Hmm.
moving on, you know, one of the questions that was submitted prior to is like, how do I know that this is a referral problem? and that I'm not getting these cases from other lawyers or past clients. And it's not just like a gap in intake or maybe visibility or, you know, possibly some sort of messaging or positioning challenge. Like, how do you isolate the fact that this is really referrals?
Ooh. Oh yeah, that's like you just open up a can of worms. Okay, let me try
All
and
right,
dissect that a
let's,
little
let's
bit.
open it.
Okay, there are two different parts to that. On one hand, just like in marketing in general, when it comes to trying to determine where did a case really come from, you're going to have some challenges because what can happen is, let's say you asked me, hey, who should I call for my I don't know, I have a business contract dispute, and I say, okay, you need to call John Smith. I'll tell you call John Smith, and then you go on Google and you type in John Smith and you call into the firm, and you know what, Google is going to be like, hey, that was me.
Mhm.
And unless intake is highly trained to be like, oh, you found us on Google, and not ask any other questions, they're just going to put Google on where that case came from. And so, because that's very natural and it's going to happen in every law firm, sometimes it can be a challenge to track if that case actually came from a referral. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. That is what makes referral marketing a challenge, because I may not be able to always pinpoint what case came from a referral, because naturally someone's going to go on Google. They're going to also go look at your review. They're also going to look at your website, and then they're going to make the call. And so you might not have that clear case acquisition data that we would all love, but let me just be honest, it's not always going to happen. The other part is, I think it's really important to train your intake into how they can use referral marketing in their department and why it's important. I was surprised that there are so many law firms out there that actually refer clients to their peers, but no one tells them. So I had a client early on when I started my business, and I said, hey, let's come up with a list of names that your intake department is sending cases out to that are rejected. And that didn't come out of nowhere. I grew up in this industry. I've worked in my dad's law firm since I was 14. And since I was 14, I knew every call that came into my law firm was money and it was valuable, and you treat it as such. So no one ever called the law firm and I answered the phone. I said, sorry, we can't help you. I always, since I was a kid, had to be a connector, which is why that's why I ended up like this.
Yeah.
And so you have to train your intake to think like that, because the fact that someone picked up the phone to call your law firm is so valuable. They are asking you for help. And when you say you can't help them, then they're going to remember how you responded after you said, I'm sorry, I can't help you. So training your intake to know, if I can't help someone, if this case does not meet our standards for case acceptance, what happens to that call? And training your intake to say, okay, here are the list of lawyers that I send a case rejection like this to. And then when they refer that person, then letting the lawyer know. Because that's where I started to realize law firms drop the ball, is intake will say, hey, you call Ron Latz. And then that's where it ends. But here's the problem with that. If you train your intake to say, hey, sorry, this is a criminal defense firm, and you're asking about a personal injury case, we don't do that, call Ron Latz. The problem is when you don't train someone in intake to follow up and say, hey, Ron, just wanted to let you know, we referred Delisi to you today.
Mhm.
Because if you don't do that, Ron Latz never knows you referred him a case. And that's the biggest problem I see, because your office likely does these things. But if they don't tell the other law firm has no idea that you're actually setting them business. And that's a mistake. It's an area of opportunity for you to improve, because you want that lawyer to know that was me. By the way, can I get that love back?
Right. I think you hit on a lot of good points there. One thing that I'll double down on with your initial response here and asking or training intake to ensure that they dig a little bit deeper beyond the surface level of we found you on Google was as you alluded to, the customer's journey is no longer linear. They might have gotten your name and then checked social, your website. They've gone to other profiles to vet you, right? They're doing their due diligence. And
Hmm.
that's why I do stress how important it really is to collect both the qualitative and the quantitative data, because the tech is going to tell you that was a direct lead or it came organic. Maybe they even clicked the GBP, or if they clicked on a paid ad, you then paid for that call or you paid for that click. But then if you don't then get the additional information of like, hey, what did somebody point you in our direction? Like, did somebody help you or guide us to your office? We'd love to thank them. We're very appreciative. Our firm thrives on these types of relationships and recommendations. Like, that's a way to then collect both so that you can understand what is not only driving the demand for your firm, but then ultimately capturing it.
Yes. Do you know Brian Glass?
Yeah.
Okay. I was talking to Brian Glass the other day and I told him something he said changed everything for me. Brian Glass said people in his office, even if they click on a Google ad or something, say, who may we thank for the referral? Even if they click the Google ad, they are trained to say, who may we thank for the referral? And when you say that, it makes the other person think, oh, wow, they must get a lot of referrals. Or
Sure.
it also helps create the conversation where the potential new client says, oh, you're right. I found you on Google, but Ron was the one who told me to give you a call. So when
Yeah.
you train your intake to say, who may we thank for the referral? You find out the information and you set the tone to say, hey, our business is driving customers here to us because referrals are a big part of that. Yes. Thank you, Lauren. So Brian Glass was the genius who said that, and I love it. All of y'all should take that line too, because if your intake can be trained to say that, what a wonderful way to remind those people calling your law firm to start thinking about referring them business.
Before we move on to specifics about client referrals, I will also just add, you talked about pointing somebody else in another direction. Maybe you are a personal injury firm and they call you looking for help with a DUI. Oh, we don't do that, but this is who you can call. Like, offering up that additional support to that individual is not only an opportunity to then create a referral relationship, but there's so many challenges with a lot of firms, especially in criminal or personal injury where cases take a while to generate reviews. And if someone says thank you, I appreciate it, I'm grateful for that. Even if they're not a client, they've had that experience with your firm. And that's another opportunity that you can leverage to get a referral, because your referrals are then looking at your reviews as well. So I think that's a great thing that we can also do on top of this overall effort of developing the relationship and connection.
Yes. Okay. You just said what I used to train my intake department on. I would train intake if you reject a case and you send it to another law firm, you're helping that person, follow up, think about the client journey, follow up with that person. Hey, Ron, I know we couldn't help you and we had you reach out to the Johnson law firm. Just want to make sure they could help you. They did. Great. And then here's the script. You know, Ron, sometimes people are a little nervous to reach out to attorneys. I'm not sure why, but we always want to help everyone. Would you mind leaving us a review and talking about your experience so other people out there know that if they call us, we will help them? And then you can turn your rejected cases into reviews. And
Yep.
that's the kind of review you want.
Yes, you're human, you were helpful, you were empathetic, you understood the situation, you're adding on social proof. I love it. All right, let's get moving. We're going to hit now client referrals and then we'll move into more attorney and professional service referrals. So, I wouldn't necessarily call it an objection, but some of the firms that I have worked with, again, over the past decade and a half, right? It's not that they feel icky, right? But they feel like they are bothering people or they feel like they are inconveniencing them. Like, what are some of the things that you think go wrong when you're trying to generate referrals from past clients with people that might have that perspective? Like, I don't want to bother them. Like, I just want to practice law. Like, how do you get over that mindset?
Well, don't bother them. Don't bother them. When you reach out to them, have a reason for reaching out to them. Again, don't do it and say, hey, Ron, it was great helping you. Please send us referrals. Well, I mean, no one's going to really enjoy that. But if you send a birthday card that says, "Hey Ron, happy birthday from all of us at the Friday law firm," and you sign it or you use handwritten and it looks like you signed it, that's much more personal and you're staying top of mind. Your business information is all on there too. And it doesn't feel like you're bothering them. It feels like you're remembering it's their birthday. And honestly, when's the last time any of us got a birthday card? I don't remember the last time someone gave me a birthday card, and that's really sad. But you know what? Whenever someone sends me a card, like, I save it. I never throw them away because I don't want to, and that's what you want. You want them to save your information, never throw it away so they can call you or refer someone to you. It's not bothering if you don't bother them. Do things that you would want to receive. Um, and it's not always just like thinking about holidays. In personal injury, I will tell lawyers, if you have a wrongful death case, your staff should be calendaring the date of death for the family member that they lost. And you should be sending them something on the anniversary of that horrible day to tell them that you're thinking about them, because no one ever thinks about what it's like to have all of those. Ooh, sorry, I'm going to get emotional because I freaking love PI, but I hate those cases. Sometimes we forget like the human part of our clients, and just sending something to someone and being like, "Hey, I want you to know all of us at the firm are thinking about you and we care about you," and something that lets them know that you're a human and you have feelings and you care about them. That's not bothering them. That's being
No.
a really nice person. Those things stick. Those
Yeah.
things you don't forget. People remember how you made them feel. Make them feel something.
Can you share a couple other examples? I know it was either on Facebook, in jest, I had made a comment like save something for this webinar, but you shared like the keychain idea
Oh man, the keychain.
and a couple
Okay.
others.
Um, so I had an idea the other day, because you can do this for you can do this for like family law, you can do this for business, you can do it for criminal defense, but like you can go online and buy like little sample sizes of Tylenols, like just the ones that have like two little pills in a package. And you can send a little card out and say, "Hey, Ron, next time you have a headache in blank, whatever practice area you're in, here's some Tylenol, but also give us a call and we'll help."
Yeah.
Now, is that a little cheeky and it's got some puns in it? Yes, but that's because I'm a huge believer in having fun and being memorable, because those things are things that people remember. The keychain, a lot of law firms out there are buying swag with their branding on it. And so I had a client the other day. We were talking through like what to do to stay top of mind. I was like, "What do you have? Tell me your swag. Let's think of something." And she goes, "I got a lot of keychains." And I was like, "Okay, keychains." And I said, "You could do some kind of a mailer saying your review is key to other clients finding us. Thank you so much. Um, you trusting us to help you with our case is key to us loving what we do." Like, you can do so many play on words with the word key, and that could be fun too. And I'll give you one more because I thought this was hilarious. Sending out Dramamine to your referral attorneys and saying, "Hey, if you have motion sickness handling some of your cases, give us a call and we'll help." And I was like, "Oh man, that's hilarious." And also, I'm not going to forget it. I don't want people to forget me. And so have some fun with it. That's what I do. I'm all about the puns because I want people to remember me. And for some practice areas like criminal defense, they'll say, "Oh, that's a little too funny for me." And I'll say, "Okay, that's fine. Let's tone it down and let's just think about how we make this in a way that suits you." But think outside the box. It doesn't all have to be random cards just for the holidays.
Right. Outside of working with you, right? And making sure, yes, Jeff, definitely still okay to have fun. Outside of working with you and putting an accountability structure in place, like what are some of the ways that you help the firms like develop the habit of whether it's a weekly touch point, it's the coffees, the lunch or the dinner, or, calendaring when that anniversary is, like, what are some of the processes or little small habits that you help them put together to keep up with the consistency on these efforts?
Yeah, so there are a couple of different things. So first, let's start with referral attorneys. With referral attorneys, One recommendation that I do that sometimes gets overlooked is everyone is trying to, everyone should do regular case reviews, right? You have the attorney sit down with their staff. Hey, let's talk about the docket, everything that needs to happen in these cases. I'm a big believer in one of the questions you ask when you're doing a file review, if the case was referred to you, is saying, is there anything we need to update the referral attorney on? Hey, maybe you got a trial date. Great, reaching out to your referral partner and saying, hey, Ron, just wanted to let you know on the Friday case, we got a trial date. Hope you're doing well. Whatever you want to say, that's a reason to follow up and it reminds them about the case that they referred to you. Another example is if you want to have follow ups with former clients, calendaring it and coming up with the process. So for the clients that I help, two standard suggestions that I have are birthday cards, because very few people do them. And
Mhm.
it's something you can calendar. And with birthday cards, you can make two decisions. You could just say, hey, we don't have too many clients that this is out of hand. I'm going to print birthday cards and our staff's going to sign them. You can automate it and do something like handwritten, and you have an admin who does this at the beginning of the month. They have the names, the addresses, they send it out. You're done. It's automated. You can also do like settlement anniversaries. Hey, Ron, can you believe this time last year we settled your case? Just thinking about you. Hope you're doing well. That's it. Um, the the point here is you need to come up with a system. So decide what that is. Is someone going to print the birthday cards for everyone in the office to sign? Who does that? Let's make sure they put it on their calendar and they know when they're doing it every month. Um, if it's the case review updates, making sure that everyone on your team is asking that question when they're doing their case updates, so they're thinking about it. But the big point here is if you don't calendar it, if you don't decide who does what by when, then it'll never happen. We could have all these brilliant ideas, but if we don't decide who does what by when, and then we put it on our calendars, it'll never happen. You have to save the space, or you're going to get busy with handling cases and managing a law firm. You're going to forget.
Yeah. You did briefly sneak in there something about automation, and I know we might touch on some technology later, but how do you balance like the personalized touch as well with automation to ensure all this stuff happens?
I think it depends on the law firm and how many times they're going to do something like that. For the smaller firms that don't have to send out as many cards, then doing it each month might seem like not a big deal because you don't have to do too many touch points. For the bigger firms, that's going to be harder. The reason why I like handwritten is a robot with an actual pen at the bottom. So it looks like you hand wrote all those cards. That's why I love them. Um, but it's also just taking a look at time, team, and tools. How much time do I have? How many people on my team can help me? What are the tools that I have available? Is it a program or is it money? And then deciding after you figure out time, team, and tools, what makes sense for you and making a decision from there.
Well, yeah, it is. It's dependent by firm. It's a delicate balance. You don't want to lose a personalized touch, but there are some great tools out there, whether it's reminders for tasks, showing up on the calendar, things like that, to make sure, again, it doesn't slip through the cracks and you still get it out the door when you're supposed to. All
Hmm.
right. We're probably going to get a little bit deeper into those that playbook that everybody that has joined this call. Obviously, Delisi will then be able to share with you that resource. But moving on into more attorney and professional like network referrals.
Hmm.
So right from the get-go, like what's one of the first things that a lawyer should do if they want to get more referrals from peers and other lawyers?
LinkedIn.
All right.
I will scream that every single day. LinkedIn, LinkedIn, LinkedIn.
Okay. Anything specifically? Do you think that they should be posting? Should they be sharing? Just building networks? Like, what are the things that you're telling them to do in your advising?
Yes. So think of LinkedIn as online marketing and making your networking and business development efforts more efficient. So they should be posting They should be sharing what it is that they do, who they help, a story about themselves so people start to know, like, and trust you. They should be commenting on other people's posts because when you can leave thoughtful comments, then you can start to create relationships with individuals. Other people in someone else's LinkedIn network will see your comment and say, "Oh, I wonder who Ron is. Let me go click on that." You should be connecting with people on a regular basis because if you only talk to the same people all the time, you're never going to meet all these other lawyers on LinkedIn who might be able to send you business. And then the last part is DMs. I'm a firm believer in professionally sliding into those DMs. Because here's what I see a lot of lawyers do and the mistake they make. They think, oh, okay, if I just post and comment on LinkedIn and connect a few times, referrals will come my way. I mean, that'd be nice if that's
Yeah, it'd
what
be
was
great.
happening. But here's the thing. If you and I just comment on each other's stuff and we never actually have a conversation, then this doesn't feel like a real connection and a real relationship yet. But
Mhm.
if I send you a DM and I say, Ron, really love what you said the other day about making sure everyone in the law firm does ABCD, great advice. And then we start having a conversation in that DM, then the relationship is real and we can coordinate a time to hop on Zoom or meet in person, whatever it is. And you don't want your relationships just to stay on the platform. You want them to be real because then you can quantify what it is that you're doing and grow your connections in real life. I'm
Yeah.
here to make real connections with real people and make real money. But if
Yeah.
I don't take it a step further, that's not going to happen.
Live example of a post today. Personal injury attorney Mitchell Chubb out of Florida, Seminole
Yeah.
County, had a post about someone that had commented on a previous post. They then went to the DMs, basically, made an exchange, started talking, recently went out, got coffee, completely unexpected, but there was an opportunity for them to basically, I don't know if it's going to be a co-counsel relationship or what it's going to be, but to work on a case together, right? Like, there are individuals out there. You don't necessarily have to post. I think that's also how you and I connected.
Yeah.
Like it was just, hey, I appreciate you commenting or sharing, or I like what you had to say. And then that led to additional conversations in the DMs. Like, let's just jump on a call. And then here we
Yeah,
go.
that's exactly how we meet. I was like, who is this Ron guy? We have so much in common. That's how we met.
That's it. Great question in here in the chat from Kate. And I think this will play right into what you're talking about with like some of the content that people are writing on LinkedIn. But she asked, what's the best way to identify partners who share the same values as your firm?
So I get that from reading people's posts and reading what they comment and seeing how they interact with people. If someone's sharing a story about the client journey that I relate to because we care about client service the same, I'm going to see that in the content they're putting out and the comments that they leave. So that's where I start to see it. And then if I get a chance to meet them in person or we send some direct messages, I find out that way. But I pay attention. If I see a lot of comments on a post, I open it up because I want to see who's engaging and what they have to say. And
Mhm.
sometimes those comments are gold. And that's where I meet people I never would have met before because they said something that I resonated with. There's a feature in LinkedIn where you can actually look and see how many people find your profile from comments. It's in your analytics. It's
Mhm.
called search appearances. If you click that in your LinkedIn, you can start to see how many people are looking at you because something you said on a post in a comment resonated with them. That's a great analytic for anyone to follow.
I'm also tracking that now because I've found that on some posts now, comments, as long as they are thoughtful and not just like, great post, great job, I agree. But if you're providing additional perspective, professionally, possibly having some debate because you see it from another angle, right? Those comments are sometimes like the impressions on those can outperform some posts,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
This is a question that I do get a lot. I'm sure you do as well, especially on LinkedIn, like because of its like global nature, like, well, these aren't necessarily attorneys in my county or DMA or state or even practice area. Let's tackle that concern because I do think it's valid depending upon what your goal is on LinkedIn. But then also because you do have a local market, like let's get a little bit into the weeds on how you recommend to even then segment those lists so that your referral efforts can be targeted to those individual audiences.
So, are you asking how to segment the list based on like location?
Well, I mean, listen, it could be by interest, by likes, by hobbies, by practice area. Like, how do you typically recommend they segment it, whether it's in a tool or maybe they've got a workbook or even a pen and pad, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Like, as well as like you, at least I have found a lot of the firms that I do work with, like their attorney or peers, those referral efforts are sometimes a little bit different than the campaigns they have for previous clients and current clients. So like how do you tackle all of that to make sure it's cohesive?
Yes. And if anyone wants it, I'm happy to send this. I have worked with everyone from a six-figure law firm to eight-figure law firms, one nine-figure. And I will tell you that when you are scrappy and you don't have a huge budget, the simplest thing, like an Excel spreadsheet, is all it takes to be able to track it. And how do I segment the list? I segment the list in three parts, and I use a traffic light as an example: green, yellow, red. Green are the people who already send me cases, and I need to nurture those relationships. Yellow are the people who I kind of know and I want cases from, or they haven't sent me a case in a while. And
Mhm.
then red are the people who I don't know, but I want to create a relationship with them. And I segment it like that because you only have so many hours in the day and time to commit to referral marketing, if we're being honest. You should focus your efforts on where it is the highest and best use of your time, and you're going to get the highest ROI. So, I don't want to look at my yellow light and red light until I know I have nurtured everyone who is currently on my referral list and sending me cases, because I don't want to forget those people. That's your low hanging fruit. That's where you're going to get success right away. And then you can say, okay, who's my yellow light? Who are these people who I haven't seen a case from in a while? I know them and I want to get business from them. Let me nurture those relationships. And the other reason why it's important, not just about where you spend your time, but there's something about actually segmenting your list where you can visually see, oh, hey, I have 5 people in this first tier who send me cases, and I have 20 in this second tier. I better do a whole lot more stuff in this list over here if I want them to start to send me cases. And that visual helps to
Mhm.
see it and put into perspective what you should be doing when you have the budget. If you can get a software program like Salesforce or something smaller than that, that integrates into your case management system, whoo, that's beautiful. That's what you can aspire for if you don't have that just yet, because then you can start to see the efforts that are happening and how that's driving business. And so that's on the high end if you have the ability to do it. On the low end, it's as simple as just using an Excel spreadsheet. And if you don't want to start from scratch, send me a message and I'll send you a template. It's color coordinated too with little notes for you. But like it just has to be simple. You can start simple.
Yes, I love that. And Robert Williams, who has joined this, I'm going to ignore the Slack notification that I just got because what he's probably going to tell me right now is Delisi just told you, Ron, to manage your referrals through a pipeline. Because in HubSpot the system that I use, I do it through all contact and company associations. So now after this call, Delisi, you watch, I'm going to be told that I need to change that approach so I can track it a lot better and get my
Yeah.
red, yellow, greens, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's obviously going to be some people on that list too that over time you're going to identify that maybe there's some red flags or there are dead ends. Like when do you provide the recommendation to like maybe I cut ties or I don't continue like pursuing this effort? Is there a moment where you stop and say we're not going to do this anymore?
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. First of all, ooh, okay, I won't get fired up, but I'm going to get a little fired up.
That's fine.
When I send a referral to someone and they treat that client horrible, they don't have a good experience, and that person is now a reflection of me and my reputation and my law firm, and that's not what I want. I don't want to have a relationship with someone that tarnishes the years that I've spent to have a professional reputation and one that is positive. So I remove someone whenever that happens. However, I think it is important as business owners for anyone who's on this call that owns a law firm to do the mature entrepreneurial thing by picking up the phone and talking to that person when it happens. There have been times where a bad situation has happened, and I've been the person who referred that case. I don't just cut them off. I pick up the phone and I have a discussion because I would be a horrible person if I let that happen and I didn't let the law firm owner know that they've got a hole in their bucket or they've got a problem in their law firm. They might not know. They could make it right, or they could just say, oh, okay, that's a problem. And then I know, oh, okay, well, I'm not sending that person cases. But I think you owe it to that person to let them know when something has happened so they can fix it as one business owner to another. The other time I take someone off that list is the moment someone disrespects someone on my team. If you disrespect and treat someone horrible on my team, you're dead to me because that team is a part of my business. And even though they may not be the COO or something like that, you better treat them with respect. And if you feel comfortable treating someone like that disrespectfully, then I don't want to do business with you. Because how do you treat your clients? How do you treat your staff? I don't want any part of that.
It's also not just about cases. You just had a story that you shared recently about, was it a candidate, another attorney that a firm was hiring, and you made the connection that kind of went sour?
Yeah. Referral marketing is about relationships, but also it's not just about marketing because all of these actions can help you recruit people for your law firm. They can be excited about wanting to join your law firm. And so, the story that Ron's talking about, for anyone who didn't see the post, I referred a litigation attorney who is bilingual in Spanish, board certified, like freaking awesome lawyer who I knew she was looking for a reason we won't get into. And one of my contacts said, hey, Delisi, I need a trial lawyer. By any chance, do you know someone who has PI experience? And I said, not only do I know someone with PI experience, they have trial experience, they speak Spanish. Like, I got you. Referred that person, and their experience with the hiring process was horrible.
Mhm.
Met with them, didn't get a follow up, followed up again, no response. And what was uncomfortable for me was I referred that person, and they were the law firm I sent them to was a reflection of me. And so
Yeah.
when they had a bad experience, it was a reflection of me. And I told the law firm, again, the mature thing to do is when someone has a problem, you call them and you tell them so they can fix it. And when I called and I told them, they're like, "Ugh, we just got so much going on." And oh, well, not even I'm sorry. Like, just, oh, well. And I saw, um, I saw that maybe that person was not someone I would refer more lawyers to when they were looking, because even your HR department is a reflection of your law firm. And even your HR department can get referrals. And everyone in your office should think of referral marketing about how it can help you generate top talent to want to work with you.
Yeah. I know that we briefly touched upon LinkedIn. There is a question that I want to make sure that we cover here. With about 15 minutes left, everyone, we do have a few more pre-submitted questions, but feel free to use the chat and Q&A. Delisi and I will just keep going and we'll tackle them as they do come in. But you had shared like basically a very big tip to those firms. Might have been another post about vague headlines and how firms are not doing themselves or they are doing a disservice to themselves essentially by not letting people know who they are and what they really do. Can you share a couple of the tips that you offer to your clients to make sure that their digital presence is showing up the way that it should be so that they can be more referable?
Yes, 1000%. I refer a case to another lawyer every single week because I love referrals and I want to connect everybody. And it blows my mind when I use my LinkedIn to do it, because at this point I know so many lawyers in so many states and so many practice areas that sometimes I forget, um and I need LinkedIn to help me. So what I do is I go on LinkedIn and I put a search for either attorney or lawyer in a certain city where I need to find that attorney to recommend to someone.
Mhm.
And 100% of the time, when I do that search and I'm scrolling through the names of lawyers I know in that specific area, their headlines don't help me. If your headline doesn't help me understand what kind of practice area you're in and who you help, then you're making it more challenging for me or anyone to refer you a case. Don't think of your headline as like your job title, because if you put owner of Ron Latz Law
Managing
Firm,
member.
that doesn't tell me anything. CEO of Hill Law Firm does nothing for me. But if you put personal injury attorney, family law attorney, I help businesses with their IP, those things in the headline tell me exactly what I can contact you about. But if you don't put it in the headline, then you're going to show up like everyone else. And I'm going to skip you and go to the next person because I have a problem and I need it to be solved right now. We live in a day and age where people need responses and answers right now. So if you make it a challenge for me to figure out what kind of law you do and who you help, I'm going to go to the next person who tells me, because I don't have time to click on every single profile to figure it out. The other part is not just your headline in your LinkedIn profile. Even if you have basic, you don't have to have premium for this. One of your featured sections in your profile is called services. If you click on your profile and say, I want to add services in my profile, one of the options is putting the practice area you're in. So
Mhm.
whenever someone does a search for a lawyer, real estate lawyer, probate lawyer, criminal defense lawyer, you can go in your services section of your profile and click the type of law that you do. So even if your headline doesn't tell me what you do, the services section in your LinkedIn profile will tell me what you do. And that's how you make sure those two sections help people send you cases.
Love it. Love it. Good stuff. All right. With just over 10 minutes here, let's dive. Oh, wait, here we go. You can put a link in your account description at the top. That's right, Rory. Yep. You can also link to a video for your the link in the
Mhm.
description to view my website or newsletter, I believe, is a premium.
I think you're right. I think that is, you can.
Okay.
Ooh,
Oh, wow.
okay. Thank you,
Well, I'm gonna
Rory.
stop paying 79 bucks a month or whatever it is for the Sales Navigator Pro. But premium lets you show it when commenting. Got it.
Mhm.
I've been giving LinkedIn $79 a month for 8 or 9 years at this point. So I'm unsure of what the free profile offers now, but good to know. Appreciate you sharing, Rory. Thank you. All right. Delisi, 50 activities to generate referrals playbook, right?
Mhm.
Everyone here that is attending will be getting a copy of that. Just share a little bit about the inspiration behind it, kind of have a good feeling as to why, but then whomever on the call then wants to use it, like how do they use it?
Yep.
What can they adopt almost immediately after receiving that in order to maybe install some of those pipelines?
Sure. So I created that because when I started my business and I realized how many lawyers I would talk to who asked, well, what can I do? I would just come off my head and I'd be like, what about this and this and this? And I was like, I should put this on a document. And then next thing I know, I started sorting it and color coding it. And the way that I did that was saying, okay, what are the actions that someone can do if they like to text? What are the actions someone can do if they like emails, if they like LinkedIn, if they love to have coffee with people, if they love to network in public, if they prefer to network in private, if they want to send out direct? Like I thought of all the different actions you can take and the categories they're in, because some lawyers hate going to a bar event, like networking with a bunch of people, hate it. Introverts hate that. And so I was like, okay, what can I do for the introverts who don't really like that? What can I do for the extroverts who are like, yes, I want to do all those things? So I categorized it based on what you feel comfortable with and the type of action it requires. And I actually have more than 50, but a 50 just sounds better if I want to put it in a PDF, because sometimes I get an idea and I'm like, ooh, I should do that. I'm like, but 52 just wouldn't be as sexy.
I
So
mean, 50 plus, 50 plus. You'll get to
just
100 in no time.
Doesn't have that ring to it. So the document we're going to send to everyone is categorized like that because nothing and no one is for everyone. Some of those ideas you're gonna be like, never happening. I'm not doing that. But some of them you're going to say, oh, okay, I can do that. I can tweak it like this. This makes sense if I do it like this for me. And so that's what that is. And that's why I came up with it. I don't have to recreate the wheel. I can just share that. Y'all don't need to hire me. You can just do it yourself.
I bet you there's a lot of people here also that likely attend some of the industry conferences because there's no shortage of legal marketing or legal conferences, let alone. What are some of the tips that, it's a large group. It can be mentally exhausting, right? You're in all these different tracks and sessions and happy hours. Like let's hit conference strategy a little bit. Like what are some of your tips there?
Yes. Okay. Um, there might actually be a section in the PDF that's about that. So
Okay,
here's
great.
what you do. If you're going to a legal conference, maximize your time there. Before you go to the legal conference, reach out to your referral partners and say, hey, Ron, by any chance, are you going to go to the New York Bar Association CLE event the last week of November and see if Ron's going to go? That first reaches out to your referral partners and it doesn't seem random. It's you asking the question. Second, then you find out, is Ron going to the event? If Ron's going to the event, great. Ron, when are you getting there? Maybe we can grab dinner before the CLE starts. Maybe we can grab breakfast on day two, whatever. Now you're not just going to the legal conference to meet with other people. You're getting in touch with Ron, who's going to be there anyway, maximizing your time. Maybe you do that and some of your referral partners say, "Oh, I had no idea about that event. I should go." Now you're encouraging them to go. The other thing I like to do is for any of the speakers at a conference I'm attending, I look them up on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
If I'm not already connected to them, I send them a connection request. And I don't like to do custom messages when I connect. But for something like this, I suggest connecting with them and saying, hey, Ron, I see that you're speaking at the Georgia Trial Lawyers Association event. Connecting on here, looking forward to your presentation. And I just copy and paste. And I do that to all the speakers because if I have a conversation with a speaker after the event, we're already connected and I can send them another message that said, hey, Ron, loved your presentation at the Georgia Trial Lawyers Association. Great topic. Look forward to seeing more of your stuff here on LinkedIn. Now you're creating relationships. Um, and the other part of that is DMs help with your LinkedIn algorithm. So when you send someone a DM, LinkedIn's going to be like, oh, Ron and Delisi want to talk and create a relationship. I'm going to show Ron all Delisi's stuff. I'm going to show Delisi all of Ron's stuff. And all of a sudden, you can't run away from that content. So that's why I like DMs too. But going back, it helps you create those relationships. And when you put in that kind of work, now you're not just going to the legal conference, you're seeing who else is there. Let me invite some people. Let me see who I can spend some time with while I'm there. And you should maximize your time while you're there, especially if you're going to be away from your family.
Yeah. Anytime I was able to get my hands on the list of attendees, obviously you can see the speakers on the website. I used to go into Excel and I would create like a little cheat sheet of the top
Mhm.
20 to 30 people that I wanted to talk to with the target of having like 10 meaningful conversations throughout the day, right? Because I might be at the booth and I might have to be at a lunch or things like that. But I would literally have like maybe who their incumbent is, like what they've been doing for marketing, like literally just a lay of the land, a quick story so that I could then know at a quick glance in my palm before I had a conversation with them. And I would just literally cross them off the list. Cross them off the list. So I got a question.
I love that.
I, I should another one. We'll jump on another one and we'll do a screen share and I'll show how I used to build it.
Yeah.
Any tips or tricks to keeping track of what gifts you've sent to your referral partners? Do you keep track?
Yes, I do. And I keep track of that for a couple of different reasons. One, whenever I categorize my referral partners and my contacts, I make notes of things that help me with gifting. So, for example, I have celiac disease. So, if someone sends me some kind of food item if it's not gluten free, I can't have it. I can't even open it because I'll get sick from the crumbs. That's how sensitive I am. So I make notes about things like that because I want to gift something that someone can use or they'll like. Or another example is, fortunately, it's sad to see that there are so many lawyers in our industry that have had issues with alcoholism. And so if I ever come across an attorney who is sober and I want to make sure we never send them some kind of alcoholic beverage as a gift, I'll make a note because I want other people in the firm who have access to that information to know, do not send a really nice bottle of Jack Daniels to that person. And so I keep track of notes like that to help with gifting. And then I also keep track of the gifts I'm sending to my referral partners because I base some of my gifts off of the relationship I have with that individual. If someone is sending me a ton of cases and they have helped me earn and receive an X amount of attorney's fees, I'm going to gift them differently than this person who sends me one case a year. And so when I have a marketing budget, I segment it like that because I'm going to send better gifts to the person who sends me more cases. I'm not going to forget about everyone else, but it's probably not going to be as good as a gift. And taking it a step further, sometimes gifts are experiences. I think referrals are relationships, they're not transactions. And when you have a relationship with someone, sometimes experiences and memories can cultivate that relationship in a way that a gift cannot. If you and I go to a concert and we're both huge Beyonce fans or something, if we go to the World Cup because we love sports, whatever it is, that experience and those memories are something that sometimes a gift can't buy.
Yeah.
And so I do track them. I suggest everyone track them. I'm also really honest. I know not everybody does. But if I could have a dream fulfilled, it would be everyone tracks it and they decide how much money they spend on gifts based on value.
I will admit, I do not track the gifts. As we're a consultancy, not a marketing agency, so I refer a ton of business out to marketing agencies because we don't do that by design,
Hmm.
right? So, um, it's I do track it in a different way, but Rob had asked that question, and I thought maybe Rob, you can build a custom field in your deal property, and then in the referral pipeline, you can track it that way. But I should start tracking the gifts more closely. But the value and then like what that engagement might look like I was able to track last year, it was north of $1 million referred out specifically in business, so. All right,
Yeah.
we're about at time. I want to say thank you so much, Delisi. Can you let everybody know the best way to find you, how you might be able to help, and if they've got any questions, where they should reach you?
Yes. If I didn't already say it, LinkedIn, LinkedIn, LinkedIn. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. And Ron, you have that great resources tab on the bottom. If you guys click that, my LinkedIn profile is actually connected in there. So, LinkedIn, because I share everything for free all the time, every day. Connect on LinkedIn if you want to take it a step further, practice what I preach, and I will talk with you all through DMs.
Perfect. Well, thank you, everyone. Delisi, we're going to be able to hang out for a second here if you do hit the back,
Yeah.
but we appreciate you spending your time with us. We will be back next month with another installment of the Legal Phoenix webinar series. If you want to make sure that you keep up to date on all the events that are going to be coming up through the end of the year, head over to legalphoenix.com, sign up for the newsletter this way that you don't miss them at all. But Delisi, thank you so much for being an
Thank you. Thank you.
analyst here. Appreciate it so much, and we hope you all have an amazing rest of your week and an even better weekend.